Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group and check out this website also where you can find so many project ideas with live version, proper flow, diagram and APIs and documentation and all. Now let's start with the video. So in this video, we are going to talk about how data binding and event binding works. Now, data binding and event binding, if these are the new terms to you, it's just like if we have a variable and if we want to display the data, whatever we are holding in that variable into some HTML tag. So how do we do that? So that is data binding. And event binding is, you already know, if you know the JavaScript, like on button click, how do we call a function and like that. Fine. So what things we are specifically going to see is how to create variables, how to create functions in the component, how to bind data to the HTML, and how do we call the functions on some element event, right? So let's start. Now, this is the same project I'm following from the first episode. Now, what I will be doing is, let me just close this VS. Why it's not opening? Yeah. Fine. So what I will be doing is for every topic, we will be creating a component so that whatever the practice we are doing in that for that particular topic, we will have that component ready. So if you can also follow the same, whatever the topic you are preparing, create a component and do the practice in that component. Have everything code with that topic in that component. So anytime if you want to do the practice again, you know that where your code is related to that particular topic. So in the component folder, I will be first creating a component that will be data binding. Data binding.js. Let's create the component RSC. So data binding component is created. Now we have to render this component also. So in app.js, let's remove everything and we will just render our component. So data binding. So you can see import is suggesting over here. So if you click, import has been automatically added. Let's close it. Currently, we don't have anything. So let's just add a p tag. And let's write, or instead of p tag, let's add a h4 data binding. Fine. Let's close app.js. Now let's try to run. So here you can see data binding is coming. Now, what we have to do, first we have to create the normal variable. Now, when it comes to declaring a variable in ReactJS, there are actually two ways. The normal way is how do we create the local variable by using let and const. That is the first way. Another way is by using a hook, that is useState hook, that we call as a state. We will be saying that in a particular episode, but for now, for data binding, we will just create normal variable. So in the function, so this is the function. So obviously inside a function, we have to create our local variable. So here, let's say const, let's say f, or tutorial name is equal to ReactJS tutorial. So what I have done, I have created a normal local variable, and in that variable, I have stored some value. This is a string value. Let's create one more variable. Let's say roll number is equal to 121. Just like that, I'm just trying to cover everything. Again, string is done, number is done. Let's try Boolean variable is active is equal to false. Then date, right? So current date is equal to, let's get the new date. So new date and round bracket, this will gives us the new date. So these are the basic data types, string, number, Boolean, and the date. Now some derived data type, array and the object. So let's create an object student is equal to curly bracket. Let's say name, AAA, city, Pune, sorry, bracket. Then roll number, or let's get the state, MH. Fine. So we have created object also. One more thing, array we will create constant city list is equal to square bracket. Let's say Pune, let's say Mumbai, let's say Jaipur, Fine. So these are the various possible ways how we can store the data: string, number, boolean, date, object, and the array. Now we have created various variable and we have stored the different type of data also. Now comes the data binding. Means whatever the data we are holding in this variable, we need to bind it somewhere. Fine. So let's create a table just to make a proper UI structure. Table, I will be creating a tr, sorry, tr, and inside that I will have a td. Now, inside this td, first, like, I will just provide a variable name like this. And before that, after hyphen, I need to print the variable value, whatever the value this variable is holding. So I can use curly braces. Now inside curly braces, you just have to print the variable. If you are familiar with Angular, in Angular, we call it as an interpolation. Here, it is just a single curly braces, and inside single curly braces, we can access the variable. So let's just try to save and see if we are able to print it. So you can see this variable, it is holding this value, so it is available. Let's create another TD. So string we have already done. Now let's try to print the number. The number variable is roll number. So roll number, again hyphen, single curly braces, roll number. Let's save. So here also you can see it is visible. Now for Boolean, just pay attention how different it is in case of Boolean. So just a variable name, I'm printing like that, curly bracket, variable name. So now if you see after hyphen, I'm not able to see anything. So in React, we cannot print Boolean value directly. So now here we have to use ternary operator. Let's say is active is true, question mark. It will be, let's say, active, or else deactive. Fine. So this is a new thing. In React, we cannot directly print the Boolean value. You just need to add some ternary operator, and based on that, like, you can print. So currently in this variable, we are having false value. So that's why deactivate is getting printed. If we have the true value, so now you will get to see active is printed. Fine. Now, date. Let's try with date. So current date. Now if we save, so now here you can see we are getting error. What is the error? Objects are not valid as a React child. Means you cannot print object directly. So when it comes to date, date contains multi-part data, means it has a date, time zone, and everything, right? So you cannot print a date directly. What you can do, you can convert it to string. So dot to string. It's a method, right? JavaScript method. So now you can see date is getting printed. So from date, we have converted that date into a string format. Now, after that, we will be able to print it. Fine. So date and the Boolean value, we cannot directly print it. Fine. Let's create another tr. Now we are moving towards the object interpolation, object data binding. Let's create a DT. Now here, let's try to print student directly, and let's see if it is printing. Save. So again, we got the error, like objects are not a valid React child. So again, I said, like, object, you cannot print it directly. How do we access the object now? By accessing those property by using dot operator. So student dot name. Now if I save, you can see A is getting printed. Then student name was there, right? So name, then comma, what is that next? City. So again, curly bracket, student dot city, like this. So city is also printed. Like that, you can follow. Now what happens in case of array? Let's try that also. Again, I'm creating a new trtd. Now here I will try to print array. So in curly bracket, I'm just trying to print the city list. Now just pay what happens. See, in the array, we just had a 3 elements. So all the 3 elements got concatenated and it got displayed. Right? So in case of array, we can see it, but it's not in a proper format. Fine. Now, if you try to just convert it to dot to string, see what happens. Now you get the comma separated. Fine. If you convert the array to string, you get the comma separated value. Fine. But in case of object, it will throw the error because we cannot print the object directly in the HTML. But array, you can print it directly. It will be without comma separated. It will be joined. Fine. But if you want to print it as a comma separator, we can convert it to dot to string. So this is nothing but data binding. So what we did in HTML tag, we have tried to print it. It's not like just in a TD you can print it. Let's create a span tag. And here also you can print. Let's try to print the roll number. So here you can see 1 to 1 is printed. So in all the display element, whether it is H1, SP tag, anywhere you can bring the value. This is related to what do we say? Display element. Now let's say we have a text box. Fine. We have a text box. Now let's add a type also, type text. Now in this text box, I need to display whatever the value I'm holding in this variable, that is tutorial name. So whatever the value I'm holding in this variable, this should be assigned to this text box. Means that value that this text box should have a value which is present in this variable. So how do we do that? So this is the text box. How do we provide a value to the text box? By using value tag. So now just see, if I enter or if I select this, directly it is getting us curly braces. So in React, just follow golden rule. Whenever you are trying to access a variable, state, or a function, everything you can access that in a curly braces. Fine. Now in curly braces, you can directly access the variable. So now when this text box render, it will render with that variable value. See, ReactJS tutorial. Now, whether it is a text box, drop down, radio button, checkbox, all you will bind it by using a value tag. All the input element will be value tag. Display element, you can directly print like this. Clear? So this is data binding. Now, these are the variables which we have created. But again, if we create the variable by using state also, which we are going to see in the coming episode, data binding will be same. Doesn't matter if you have created a variable like this or by using state. You will you will be able to access the data variable by this way only. Doesn't matter what kind of it is a normal variable or it's a state. Doesn't matter. This will be same. Fine. This is data binding. Now let's move towards the event binding, how event binding works. So let's try to create one more component so that we will have a separate code.js. Let's create the component RSC. Let's close this. Now in app.js, we need to render instead of this. Let me comment this event binding. Let's save. Let's close this. Now event binding. So from JavaScript, you might know, like on button click, let's say if you need to show some alert box. How do you do that? On button click, you write on click, and in script tag, you used to create one function, and that function you used to call on the button click. Now, same thing if you have to do in React, just so how you will do it. So let's create a button first. Now, here I will say show alert. Now on this button click, I need to show an alert box with some message. So what I will do on click, on click. Now in normal JavaScript, we used to add a double quotes, and inside the double quote, we used to call the function with round braces, right? But here, let's create a function first. Now, where you create the function before return. So we can create a function inside a function. This is altogether a function, but inside a function also we can create a function, correct? So here we will create a function, again arrow function only. Show alert, just a function, normal function I have created, and inside that alert. I think alert won't work, but let's try. You should be familiar with the error also. Welcome to ReactJS. Fine. So we have a function, and inside that function, we have a simple alert box. Now this function we can call on this button click like this, but it should not be with curly braces. Round braces. Just a normal function. Let me just save this, and again I will explain. So now if we click, see, welcome to ReactJS is coming. So on click of this button, what is happening? This function is getting called, and in this function, we have the alert box. Fine. Now what happens if we add a round bracket over here? Just like what we know from JavaScript. Let's try to save. See, on the page load only we got that. Understood? So that's why we don't add round braces over here. So that once we click the button, then only that function will get called. If you add a curly braces, so once it is rendering, it will execute that. So that's why this is the first way how you call the event. Now, there are two types of way in the event binding. So this is the first way. Now, I will create one more function, constant show message. Now I have to create a function which will show the alert pop-up, but message I can send means a function with a parameter. So here I will have a parameter message. Now in the alert box, I will show the message. Whatever the message I get, that I will print. Instead of this static, now from wherever I'm calling this function, I will pass the message, and whatever the message I get, that I will display in the alert box. Fine. Now let's create a button one more time. Now we have to call this function. Now this function is with the parameter. So how do we call it? So on click, round bracket, again over here round bracket as the arrow function. Fine. And this function you need to call it over here. And here you can pass the message. Let's say btn1. Okay. Show btn1 message. Let's copy the button and again let's create it. This is first button. Second button, here we will say button 2, button 2. Fine. So now see, we have got two buttons. So in two buttons, we are calling the function, but with the parameter. So if you have to call the function with the parameter, so this is the way. By using arrow syntax format, you can call the function. Now, let's check this also. See, if I click on this button, what we get? Button 1. If I click on button 2, you get button 2. So while calling the function, we are passing the parameter, and that parameter you will get it over here. And that only you are showing in the pop-up box. But this is not the case in case of arrow function only. Means this is the first way how you call the function. On click and inside curly braces, you can directly call the function. Let's try show alert 2. Fine. Now this function show alert, a function without parameter, we can call it as arrow function also. See, what is that? Show alert. We can call like this also. See, it is also working the same, and first button also working the same. So there are two ways. First way is this, and second way is this. Now, when you will use this way, when you have to pass the parameter, but it's not mandatory. Without passing the parameter also, you can use this way. Fine. So these are the two ways by which you can call a function. So this is nothing but event binding. So just like on click button event, you can call on the drop down also. Let's create a drop down, select. This will be, let's say, city. Sorry, we are trying to create a city drop down. So option, Pune. Let me just copy paste. Fine. Now what I need to do, once the city drop down change, I need to call a function. So let's create a function on city change, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. Fine. Now this function I have to call once the drop down change. So now it's a drop down. It was a button, so that's why we use the click event. But in case of drop down, we have to use on change event. Sorry, on change event. Normal. Fine. Let's show the alert box and a static message like city change. Let's save and check. So once I change the city, you get it. But now again, if I open the drop down and again, if I select the Mumbai only, you don't get that pop-up because value doesn't change. But if I click Nagpur, you get the alert box. Means once you change the value of the selected, once you change the selected option, then only this function will get called because the event type is on change. Unless value doesn't get changed, this function won't be called. Fine. Let's try with the text box. So input type text on change, and Let's copy this on text change, and this function I can call it over here. Fine, let's just try. So this is an empty text box. Once I type some character, you can see we got the alert pop-up. Again, if I type, you can see as soon as the text box value change, that function will get called. So this is the normal event binding. Now just a quick change over here. What if I need to get the value also? So let, let's create a second text box, or let's add a BR tag. Now I need to create a once the text box change, I need to get that value also. Like what is the value currently holding in the text box? Fine. So let's create another function, but this function will be with the parameter on name change, and we will get event over here. Fine. For now, this function we will call it over here, but in case of it will be arrow function. Sorry, like this. Now this is a normal way. So this function is with the parameter. So while calling this function on the text box change event, so we can get the change event object over here. You can write event, and this event object, you can pass it as a parameter over here. So let's just add a debugger so that I can show you what do we actually get it over here. So now let's open the console. So now if I type something into this text box, so now here you can see we have got a change event. Fine. So whole object, the complete change event object we have got. Inside that we have got current target, means from which element this event got triggered. So now let's try to print it in console. So this will be a little bit hard, but try as the session will go in the further topic. Now you will get a habitual way, like how do we read the text box value. So this is the way. So target dot. So you can see once I type the target event dot target, so this element is getting highlighted, means this event, from where this event got triggered, from this text box. So we got it. Now I need the value, event dot target dot value. See, we got the value, correct? So either you can get the text box value by this, or instead of target, you can get current target. Both works the same. See, fine. So here, whatever the text box value, instead of alert, now I will use console because alert will be very, again, we have to click on. So this event dot target dot value. Let's save. Now if I start type, sorry, the debugger we had, let's clear it. Let's reload one more time. Now just pay attention on the console. Once I start typing, you can see it is getting the value. Getting it? So how do we read the text box value? So you can create a text box. On that text box, you can call a change event. It's not just the text box. On dropdown also you can do it. On radio button, on all the input element, you can do like that. You just have to pass the event parameter. Whatever the event object is there, now that you will pass it. And here you can access the value of that element. Fine. So this is how we write the, how do we do the event binding in React.js. So we have covered two important topics, data binding and the event binding. So this is very basic. Once we go on with each topic, we will be using whatever the topics we have seen till now. So don't, if you are finding this episode for the first time, please go and watch the previous episode also. Fine. Now the Hindi part. So इन डेटा बाइंडिंग, सो सिंपली डेटा बाइंडिंग मतलब क्या है कि जो भी वेरिएबल में डेटा है वो हम एचटीएमएल में कैसे बाइंड करते हैं. अब जावास्क्रिप्ट में सेम चीज हम डॉक्यूमेंट डॉट गेट एलिमेंट बाय आईडी डॉट इनर एचटीएमएल और डॉट इनर टेक्स्ट से करते थे. वो सेम चीज रिएक्ट जेएस में कैसे करते हैं. फाइन. सो हमने कुछ वेरिएबल क्रिएट किए ऐसे. अब इन वेरिएबल को मुझे बाइंड करना है. सो बाइंड कैसे करते हैं. अगर डिस्प्ले एलिमेंट है, मतलब स्पैन है, टीडी है, लेबल है, div है, पैराग्राफ है, H4 H2 कहीं पे भी है, तो डेटा कैसे डिस्प्ले करोगे? यूजिंग करली ब्रेसेस, और करली ब्रेसेस के अंदर आपका वेरिएबल का नाम। दिस इज हाउ यू कैन प्रिंट द वैल्यू इन द वेरिएबल ओवर समवेयर। ठीक है, जो भी HTML टैग के अंदर आपको वैल्यू दिखाने है, वहां पे क्या करोगे? करली ब्रेसेस दो और उसके अंदर आपके वेरिएबल का नाम। सो वो क्या करेगा? वेरिएबल में जो भी वैल्यू है वो वहां पे डिस्प्ले करेगा। फाइन। इन केस ऑफ बुलियन इट वोंट प्रिंट, सो बुलियन में आपको टर्नरी ऑपरेटर यूज करके जो भी वैल्यू दिखाना है वो दिखा सकते हो, लाइक दिस। इन केस ऑफ डेट इज हैविंग ऑब्जेक्ट डेटा टाइप्स, राइट? सो हम ऑब्जेक्ट टाइप ऑफ डेटा डायरेक्टली रिएक्ट में प्रिंट नहीं कर सकते, सो इसलिए मैंने ये कन्वर्ट करके दिखाया। ठीक है, उसके बाद मैंने स्टूडेंट ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया था। अब स्टूडेंट डायरेक्टली अगर मैं प्रिंट करूंगा तो फिर से एरर आएगा, बट स्टूडेंट ऑब्जेक्ट में से कौन सी की वैल्यू दिखाना है, वैसे ही स्टूडेंट डॉट नेम, स्टूडेंट डॉट सिटी, जो भी कीज है वो दिखाओ। अरे डायरेक्टली प्रिंट कर सकते हो, अरे के टाइम पे एरर नहीं आएगा, जस्ट अगर आपने ऑब्जेक्ट प्रिंट करने का ट्राई किया डायरेक्टली तो ही एरर आएगा। ठीक है, सो दिस इज एवरीथिंग अबाउट डेटा बाइंडिंग। देन इवेंट बाइंडिंग, सो इवेंट बाइंडिंग एज इन जावास्क्रिप्ट में आपने जो देखा है कि इवेंट कैसे बाइंड करते हैं, फंक्शंस कैसे लिखते हैं, वो सेम चीज। सो ये नॉर्मल फंक्शन, ये फंक्शन विथ पैरामीटर। ठीक है, सो हम दो तरीके से फंक्शन कॉल कर सकते हैं। एक तो ऑन, मतलब इवेंट, जो भी आपका इवेंट का टाइप है, ऑन क्लिक, ऑन चेंज, ऑन माउस चेंज, जो भी आपको इवेंट जावास्क्रिप्ट से पता है वो सारे इवेंट यहाँ पे काम करेंगे। ठीक है, ऑन क्लिक, अब जावास्क्रिप्ट में इक्वल इक्वल टू के बाद डबल कोट, उसके अंदर फंक्शन का नाम और राउंड ब्रैकेट लेते थे, राइट? अब यहाँ पे राउंड ब्रैकेट नहीं लेना है, सो सिंपली ऑन क्लिक और आपके शो अलर्ट का फंक्शन का नाम, जो भी आपका फंक्शन का नाम है डायरेक्टली दो करली ब्रैकेट के अंदर। फाइन। ये करली ब्रैकेट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है रिएक्ट में, जब भी आपको कोई वेरिएबल एक्सेस करना है या फिर कोई फंक्शन एक्सेस करना है, इन सब कुछ आपका करली ब्रेसेस के अंदर ही एक्सेस होगा। विदाउट करली ब्रेसेस कुछ भी नहीं होगा। ठीक है, सो ये पहला वे है, ऑन क्लिक मतलब इवेंट नाम इक्वल टू और करली ब्रेसेस के अंदर फंक्शन का नाम। और दूसरा तरीका है यूजिंग एरो सिंटैक्स, ये नॉर्मल वे, और ये दूसरा है यूजिंग एरो सिंटैक्स। जैसे अपना एरो फंक्शन होता है ना, वैसा ही हम यहाँ पे कॉल कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, बट ये सिंटैक्स कब यूजफुल होता है? जब आपको पैरामीटर सेंड करना है। सो देखो, ये जो फंक्शन था अपना शो मैसेज, यहाँ पे अपना पैरामीटर था, तो ये पैरामीटर मैंने ऐसे सेंड किया। ये जो तरीका है, इसमें आप पैरामीटर नहीं भेज सकते, क्योंकि ये क्या होता है, ऐसा अगर आपने भेजा समथिंग, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा, पेज लोड पे ही कॉल हो जाएगा। दैट्स वाई। ठीक है, सो अगर आपको फंक्शन कॉल करते वक्त पैरामीटर भी भेजना है तो आपको एरो सिंटैक्स ही यूज करना पड़ेगा। जैसे टेक्स्ट बॉक्स के टाइम पे देखो हमने इवेंट लिया है, राइट? सो ये तरीका है जैसे हम इवेंट बाइंड करते हैं, फंक्शन क्रिएट करो और वो फंक्शन आपके एलिमेंट पे बाइंड करो। फाइन। अब जो मेरा चैनल बहुत पहले से फॉलो कर रहे हो, और या फिर जिनको एंगुलर ऑलरेडी पता है, तो जैसा एंगुलर में हमने किया था सेम वे रिएक्ट में कैसे करते, तो ये अलग अलग वेज है। ठीक है, वहां पे राउंड ब्रैकेट में लिखते थे, यहाँ पे ऐसा लिखते हैं। फाइन। और जिनको जावास्क्रिप्ट पता है, मैं एक्सप्लेन करते वक्त जावास्क्रिप्ट और एंगुलर दोनों का कॉन्टेक्स्ट लेते हुए ही आपको पढ़ाऊंगा, तो सीखने में या फिर रिलेट करने में थोड़ा सा इजी जाएगा। फाइन। सो दैट्स इट, अगर आप न्यू हो तो प्लीज डू लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब। थैंक यू ऑल।